Hey, Chandler Bolt here, and joining me today is Maha Abu Al-Anain, and I'm super excited for this episode. We literally just had a fire alarm go off in the office right as we started recording this. So I can only assume that that means this is going to be a fire episode, and I apologize already for that horrendous joke. But we're gonna have fun today. Maha, she's a best-selling author of a brand new book. It's called The Seven Rules of Self-Reliance. She's been featured on Forbes. She's a speaker, mentor, and an advocate for the power of storytelling. She's collaborated with some big brands, which if we have time, we'll ask about kind of how that came about. Really interesting background. Has lived in Egypt, lived in Dubai, lived in the U.S., and done business all over the place. So we're going to talk about her book. She's just coming off of a big launch of that book, so we'll kind of go behind the scenes and learn about some of that stuff and just dive into a bunch of fun concepts. So Maha, welcome. Great to have you here.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you.
All
And
right,
the
well,
first was kind of like a fun thing, and I was wearing. I'm like, I feel like it's a whole theme going on here
it takes me back to school, honestly. I was thinking about that. I'm like, when's the last time I had a fire trail?
at school. Yeah, that's so funny.
It
Well,
was
when you
like,
said there's a fire truck outside, I'm like, okay, this isn't like a drill. They don't just, make it makes me nervous. I'm like, you better go deal with that.
yeah, everyone's leaving. I'm like, the show must go on.
Go on.
So here we are. Hey, why a book? How did you see this fitting in with your brand, your business? I know it was a
Question.
multi-year process to even get this thing published. So why go through all
Yeah.
the effort?
I mean, we live in a digital world and everyone's on social and consuming content through digital, means. And I love books. I love reading books. I love collecting books. I love writing in my books. I always had a dream of writing a book. I feel there's a certain level of credibility and honor and prestige with having a book. And, it wasn't about being so much like I wanted to be an author. I just wanted to put my ideas in a different format out into the world. And to scale it to people in a different format than what normally people are consuming. And I always respected books. And so I really wanted to tell my story. I'm a 30-year career in communications, but this isn't a communications book. It's more about how I did things in my career and my life versus what I did. And it's full of practical things that people can do today. And I feel we live in a world that's full of so much change and environment. And what if we stop and pause and really be the drivers of the change that we want to see in the world? Because it starts with us. And self reliance is a concept of relying on yourself to advance the things you care about. And I'm really excited that the book has been so well received, and I can't wait for people to get their hands on it.
That's cool. That's awesome. So was this it's interesting. You said it's 30 years in communications, but it's not a communications book. So was this a passion project? Was this a business project for what you're working on now? Like what was kind of the
Yeah, I mean, it was more like a methodology of the things that people can learn from how I did things in my successful career in their business and professional life. So there is one chapter that has to do with how to build your personal brand and how to communicate who you are and articulate that. And that's the thing that I'm really known for is my consulting business is really helping people find their narratives, tell their stories, think about their reputation differently. And I give the playbook online and offline on how to do it. But I think the reason why I chose self-reliance as a topic, because when I started thinking about all the through line of things in my career, it was like, oh, I had to rely on myself to create value for other people. I had to rely on myself to create my own relationships and build my own network instead of relying on yours if I need something. I had to rely on myself to learn things and invest in myself. I wasn't waiting for someone to deliver a training to me. I had to take initiative myself so I can learn things that are out there in the market for free to advance my goals and my needs. Had to rely on myself to not wait for people to bring me opportunities, because if you just want to sit and wait for opportunities, you'll be waiting a very long time.
Yeah, I agree with that. So I want to talk through some of the concepts of the book, and then I want to talk through kind of how this is, leading into business stuff, how you launched it. I know there were some creative
100%.
things around the launch, all that stuff. But let's maybe big picture on the concept. And it's a big question, so you don't have to answer it directly if you don't want to. You can kind of give the high level, but I mean, I'm sure everyone's asking, what are the seven rules of
Yeah, that's
self-reliance
good.
and how did
Okay.
you learn them? Like kind of high
Yeah,
level.
yeah. It actually just came out that the things I wanted to share ended up being 7, and those were the rules. 7 is my lucky number. 7, I was born on November
Nice.
7th, so it's like a 7 was a thing for me. First, the first rule of the book is stay low, keep moving. So I don't mean be low profile. I'm like, stay low and under the radar in terms of focusing on your goals. Chandler, there's so many distractions in life. Social media, family obligations, comparing yourself. Like you can just sit and live in what I call this distracted world, or you can stay low and stay focused on what you care about. In order to get anything you care about done, you have to stay low because otherwise you'll just get pulled in all these different directions. Keep moving. There's going to be setbacks. There's going to be bad days. There's going to be economic downturns. There's going to be pandemics. So you have to know, if you are a self-reliant person, you know the value of focusing relentlessly on what you care about and keep moving through all of those challenges. That's the first rule. The second rule is be a value creator. So one of the things I learned early in my career, that either if I wanted to keep my clients, because I'm in a consulting business, I have to learn how to be valuable to them. I have to learn how to create value for them on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis. That makes them sticky to me. It lets them stay close to me because I'm giving them extra information. I'm solving a problem. I'm anticipating needs. I'm creating value for them. I'm thinking about their business and trying to see around corners of what I can do that they didn't ask me to do that's valuable for them. So it's about listening to what they care about, listening to what their problems are. So rule number 2 is be a value creator. If you can create value for other people, you become indispensable because they know that you're the secret sauce for them. You're the person who's thinking about things and helping their business. The third rule is don't be a waiter. I was called a waiter early in my life. Like I was waiting for things to just happen to me because I deserved them. I felt like I worked hard. I deserve these things. I was waiting. I was waiting for permission from others. I was waiting because I feared failure. I was waiting because I feared judgment from other people, thinking, who does she think she is? A lot of times we find ourselves unconsciously waiting, that we know that there's something we're more capable of, or there's something's going to come along and change our trajectory. And so we're just waiting for it to happen to us. So don't be a waiter. Rule number 4 is unlearn, relearn, and invest in yourself. The only way I am good at my job is because I'm constantly trying to learn things. I'm constantly trying to sharpen my saw. What's out there? What's in the market? What's happening in culture? What's happening in the news? How does it change my business? How does it create an opportunity? How is this challenge changing my companies? So I always think about investing in myself, paying to be in rooms, learning on the internet for free. Podcasts are for free. YouTube videos are for free. Everything on the internet is for free. You have no excuse not to learn. The reason why I wrote unlearn and relearn in the rule is sometimes we have to question our own thinking. We have to unlearn things because times are changing. What do we need to relearn? And don't just take things as they are. Don't just take assumptions as they are. Like try to question them and think about, why do we think that? Or what's changed and why does my thinking need to change along with it? Rule number 5, treat your brand as a currency, your reputation as a currency. Your name, Chandler, is the most valuable asset you have. What are you doing to protect it? What are you doing to grow it? It's like a currency. What's its worth? And so I really want people to think about building their personal brands is not a nice to have, it's a must have. It's not about being a social media influencer. It's not about idea promotion. It's not about self-promotion. It's about idea promotion. Rule number 6, that was 6, no, that was 5, 6 is be a long-term player. In a world where we live in a very tap to pay and get going and instant gratification, like take the long route, make deposits in other people's trust banks, take the long-term approach. And then the last one is no regrets. Things that happen to your life don't define you. How can you live with no regrets and turn your setbacks into comebacks?
My gosh, that was incredible. I
That was the
love those
7.
rules. And I mean, you have like a key, an answer key on on your computer, or was that from memory?
No, I just talked.
All
I wrote
right,
the book, so I know what it's about.
you know your material. That's fantastic. So stay low and keep moving. Be a value creator. Don't be a waiter. Unlearn, relearn, and invest in yourself. Treat your brand as a currency. Be a long-term player and no regrets.
Yeah.
Those are the 7 rules. I love it. It It's funny. The one I really resonate with all of them, but the one I really resonate with off the top is be a value creator. I put this
Yes.
sticky note up on. I've got my right behind my computer here. I've got my goals for the year and I've got my intention and that sort of thing. And this little sticky note because I think this leads to everything. How can
How
I
can I
ex?
add exponentially more value today? It's so key.
Because you get paid based on the value that you provide, right? And so whether you're
Yes.
sales, you're trying to grow a business, you're whatever, people pay for value. And when you know that you're creating more value than what you're charging, it makes it easy to sell because and it makes it easier to make more money and grow your business because you know that you're helping people and adding value in the process. And so they'd be crazy not to do that. And so I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
if we focus on that, and I think everything grows. So I guess my question to you would be, how do you do that in your business, and how I'm assuming this book was a big part of that and kind of why the book was a priority, but how do you do that?
I mean, a lot of times I start with a simple question asking, how can I help? So I can understand, what do you care about? What are the things that you're suffering from, or problems or goals or things that you are interested in? And then I try to figure out, do I have a connection there? Do I have a relationship there? Do I know somebody who can help me with this? Like, it's about asking the right questions to understand what people value. And then it's about execution. Can you execute against the things that you're going to propose to do? Because you can't just be a one-hit wonder. If you're going to create value for somebody, you have to know how to execute it and see it through. So follow up and follow through are key.
Love it. And so I want to talk about the launch of the book and how you did it. I was speaking with Rachel on your team, and she talked about just a bunch of different avenues
Yeah.
to get the book out there. What were kind of the core pillars of your launch strategy? What worked? What didn't work? How did you kind of think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I've never done this before, right? So I do strategic communications. I'm a consultant for clients that walk in my door and I advise them. I don't do like marketing of products. I never sold anything that was for $25. I've never done that before. So I'm like, okay, first things first is you need to ask a lot of questions from people who have done it before. What did you do? How did it work? What are some things you learned? What are some do's? What are some don'ts? Where should I spend my time? Where should I not spend my time? The first thing was I want to make sure that I have a really solid press and podcast strategy. Like, how can I get on media? How can I get on podcasts, big or small, so I can tell my story and reach different audiences? So, one bucket was focusing on press and podcasts. Another bucket was, how do I start to create an email database of users or consumers over time so I can start to talk to them about my content, what do I do, and then talk to them about the book. So developing lead magnets. So any like really valuable PDF, like how to get free publicity, how to build your podcast, how to do networking through DM, how to do your weekly planner. So like I created a lot of lead magnets so I can help people come into my network and come into my database. So email database was a big part of it. Email marketing was a big part of it. A third pillar was I wanted to organize an event, a live event on launch day, which I called the Self-Reliance Summit. And the Self-Reliance Summit was something that we were doing 10 minutes with different people in my network. Gary Vee, Halle Berry, Matt Higgins, Lewis Howes, Jasmine Star, Shelly Zalis, Nima Naz, Jim Quick, to really come in for 10 minutes and have a chat with me, just to get people excited about the book, to talk about the book. It was a live event. It was free. It was over Zoom. 2,000 people showed up. It was fun. I mean, it was like a big part of our strategy. We also, had a lot of people in there that weren't part of my community. So we, talked a lot about me, my story, the book, and it helped, sell us books, but also bring more people into my community. And I gave away 2 tickets to Taylor Swift, which always helps. Anything to do with Swift always helps. And so a lot of people came in for that. And then I did a thing where I offered people, if they bought a bunch of books, 50 books or more, that I would co-host an event with them. So I would do an event, speak at their company, come to them, use free miles, go to their event and speak to them. And that was wildly successful. Like, how do you spend time with people, exchange your time for a bunch of books? And I actually had so much fun.
That's really cool. So we got PR and press, we got lead magnets around the book, we got free live events, giving away Taylor Swift tickets.
Yeah.
Uh,
And I also did some corporate sales, of course, talked to a lot of
okay.
companies. sold to companies and asked them if like I could come speak in exchange for them to buy 200
Mm,
books, 300 books, 500 books. And we did that.
nice. So speaking for bulk book sales or and was that the main strategy, or was it also just selling bulk into corporations?
Just selling like companies so I can talk about the things. Because a lot of these rules apply to the business world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. I love that. What was most what actually I'll back up and ask one clarifying question, then we can talk about what moved the needle the most. One thing I saw that you did, which I thought was super sharp, and I think not enough people do this, is the book club. And you set
Yes,
up a
we did a
book
book club.
club, you got a guide, you got all that stuff to help people facilitate that. And now it's a one to many sale, right? You sell to the
Yep.
book club leader, and then that sells maybe
Yep.
even
Book
dozens of
clubs,
books.
exactly. Yep.
How did you do that, and what was the thought process behind that?
I mean, I like going to book clubs. I like having discussions around topics of books. I mean, traditionally, book clubs are the ways that people kind of engage at a deeper level. And I even offered to join these book clubs and to spend time with them talking about it. So we put together a guide about some of the things that are in the book and just question points and reflection exercises, just to give them bonus content to activate the things and themes of the book that they can apply into their lives.
Now, of all those things, what moved the needle the most?
I think this just consumers, when they saw the press and the podcast, like went on to Amazon about the book. I really believe it was that one customer at a time, ground strategy, ground game that always is the most effective.
Cool. And so, what on the back end of the book, we talk about the concept of, back into the book, back into the book launch. We always talk about the concept of a one year book launch. I think a lot of people think about it as a week, but that's
No,
how
it's like
most books,
it's an always on thing. Yeah. So
right?
we
So, how are
start
you
on.
looking at that?
Well, you have to always think about like what you can do to keep weekly sales going. So doing LinkedIn lives, doing Instagram lives, talking to small groups, small companies. I'm selling every week. I mean, I have targets every week of selling the book. So we're just always doing podcasts, doing shows, keeping it visible, making it relevant to different audiences, learning from the readers what they love the most, expanding our content based on that. So it's a process, but it's like it's definitely not something you just push for 2 weeks and be done.
Yeah. So, what, why the continuous push? I think a lot of people would kind of say, "Hey, the book's been launched, it's out." Like, why is this something that is important to you to continue talking about, and how does it fit in with moving the needle in your business?
I feel, well, first of all, I want this book in as many hands as possible. I want every book that we printed to be in the hands of the people. So I want to make sure that we do it. I'm selling it today. Last night, actually at 11:30 at night, I did a live interview with BBC in London, which was their morning show. Because I want to make sure, like I'm selling it in London, I'm selling it in Dubai, I'm selling it in Saudi, in Egypt. I sold the foreign rights in Portuguese for South America. So I'm really continuing to push, and I love this book and I love this story, and I want people to read it.
And what is the main revenue arm in your business? Is that consulting? Is that speaking? Is that something
Yeah, the
else?
main revenue of my business is consulting. I'm a consulting for a communications consulting firm. So a lot of the stuff that we teach in the book that has to do with building your personal brand and
Mm,
building reputation, we do that as a business, as a consultant. That we work for people like Gary Vee and other people doing personal brand work, Matt Higgins, Jim Quick, other people that we've supported on their personal brand. So definitely something that the book is a part of the company and a part of me. And I believe
mhm,
that it's a really good way for people to learn about how we approach strategy, adding value to our clients, building
mhm.
a good relationship, building the network, creating value, not being a waiter, taking initiative, learning. All of these rules in the book we apply to our work with our clients.
Mm-hmm. Do you send them to clients?
All of my clients have actually bought it.
Nice,
Yeah,
nice.
which is nice.
I love that. The way I think about it is pretty similar to what you're talking about, because like this is my newest book, and
Published.
published, yeah, and so I mean, I give it to every new employee and say this is part of your onboarding, right? We give it to every new client; it's part of their onboarding. I think it just brings such leverage because it's stuff that you or your team was having to explain in a one-off on every onboarding call or every sales call or every touch point with clients and all that stuff. And now you say, hey, read the book. And I found that it just has, now there's a common language and a starting point. And so it brings leverage to everything else you're doing and leads to a lot less one-off explaining
Yeah,
of kind of
for
core
sure.
things.
It's all about scaling because where we have not a lot of time to be doing, manual labor like that.
Yeah. So you've seen that kind of show up in your business as well?
100%, 100%.
Yeah. What so how do you see this book fitting in with customer acquisition? Like, is that a big focus for you, or like, like, are you
Yeah, I mean,
building
it's not
funnels
that it's
around
not that
this?
a
Like, what's that look
focus
like?
for me. I mean, the book is like it helps with our credibility as an organization that the founder of the
Mhm.
company, the CEO of the company is a published author. Thought leadership matters. Having that authority matters. Understanding that you know your stuff matters.
Mhm.
But it's not a tool that I'm using to generate clients and saying, "Hey, read my book because I then I can consult for you." I'd love
Mhm.
that. But that wasn't wasn't the reason I wanted to publish the book. Was not a lead generator for clients.
Right. What, because is your business model, is it a handful of clients that are on retainer that are more high
Yeah.
end
Yeah,
clients?
yeah. Yeah, yeah.
And so
Uh,
that's the
yep,
main focus and driver of the business.
yep.
And so this is more of a down market solution, if you will, to say, hey, if you can't afford to work with us, buy the book, but
Yeah,
you
I mean,
also,
it's one of the many options that they have to work with us. They can come in the door and work on a retainer, work on a project. We do
Mhm.
online training. We have other products and services that we offer, but this is just one to scale to many people. It also has a lot of like my business personal stories that a lot of people haven't heard before. So I
Mhm.
put that out there, like when I worked at Google and worked for the Prime Minister and worked for Gary Vee and all the different
Mhm.
projects I've done. And so that's what some real life examples in there bring it to life.
Cool. And talk to me about that a little bit. I thought that was pretty interesting. Just in researching your background leading up to this episode, working with a lot of big companies, and seems like a core part of your. That's just such a foreign thing to me. I mean, we're hardcore B2C, just helping people publish books. I mean, that's our core business. And so, big brands, big businesses, big contracts, all that stuff is this, and even just running business out of Dubai, all that's pretty foreign to me. How did you land those big brand deals? What, like what? I don't even know.
Yeah. So I worked for Google as an employee. I was a
Mhm.
full-time employee at the company. I had two full-time jobs in my career. Once at General Mills, where I was an employee of that company working in sports marketing in Minneapolis. And then the
Mhm.
other one was working for Google out of the Dubai office and really working as as an employee, helping building their communications apparatus and scaling and launching some of their products. But I feel like in general, for the big clients that we've landed or people that we've worked with, is really about what can you do to create value for them? What's your secret sauce? What's your experience? How are you marketing yourself? How's your reputation? Well, how much time did you spend building a relationship with them? Landing a big client is not just a matter of giving them the right price. You have to really bring value to them. You have to bring them some experience. You have to bring them a track record of what you've been able to execute. And,
Mm,
it's all about timing, but honestly, it's about bringing value and your experience to the table.
mm. Yeah, be a value creator. One of the seven rules. What do you think of these seven rules? What do you think is the one that people have the most trouble with?
The waiter one.
Tell me more.
Just that people just feel like they don't realize they're waiters until I define it for them. They're like, "Oh, I've been waiting."
And how would you define it? And how would someone know right now if they're listening to this or watching this? Oh, I'm being a waiter. And what should they do to change?
Well, they know that they're capable of doing more. They're holding back for a reason. They're in their comfort zone because they just don't want to put themselves out there,
Hmm.
because they don't have the confidence in themselves to do it, because they don't trust their gut, because they don't feel that, or sometimes they might be waiting for permission from other people, or they're unsure about making a decision because they don't want to make the wrong decision. There are no wrong decisions. You make a decision with the information you have at that time and
Mm-hmm.
then make another one if it doesn't work
Mm-hmm.
out. And so I think that's the reason why people wait, is all those reasons I just mentioned. They'd rather be waiting for a perfect time for something to happen, and that just doesn't exist.
Mm. And so, what's your advice for the waiters?
If you have a goal or a dream or something that you really want to do, reverse engineer it, like break it down into the steps. Like, I want to be able to do this. Okay, what are the things I need to do in order to do that? Break it down into smaller bites and then just take off one bite of that apple, just one.
Mm-hmm.
Just taking that first step is the hardest part.
Love it. What do you feel like on the other side of this? biggest lesson learned from the launch or from the writing of the book that you would share with for people who are thinking about writing or publishing their first book?
Writing a book is easy. Selling a book is hard. The end. It's a process. Like you have to sell one book at a time. You have to really convince the reader what's in it for them. Why should they spend time with your book? What is the key takeaway? What is the book about? Like you really need to understand your reader and where their pain points are and where your book is going to bring value to them because
Hmm.
there's so many books on the market.
Hmm. I think a lot of people would say that writing a book is easy is not their experience. Why do you think it was so easy for you?
Well, I'm in the communications business, so I love communicating and I love writing. So for
Mm.
me, writing it was easy, selling it
Hmm.
was hard. It's a process. Like it took me like 6 or 7 months to think about the shape of the book and the chapters and what I want to write about. Is it going to be about this or not? Then once I decided what it was going to be about, then I literally like for 2 months, just like I'm heads down, gonna focus, gonna knock it out. I don't want this thing to take on forever and be a
Mm.
dreadful project. I want it to
Mm.
be something I enjoy. So I was like going into it and getting the stories and mapped out how I wanted to do it. But I feel that everybody's different on what their skills or there's like what they're capable of doing when it comes to a big project and breaking it down. I just feel that the most important thing is the self-awareness that you get through this process.
Hmm.
Like I learned I have a lot of stamina. I learned that I'm like willing to be putting a lot of effort in. I'm willing to, not know what I don't know. Like I was like, okay, I don't know how to do this. And every time I'd start a call with my team, I'm like, let me remind you, I've never done this before. And just like telling people, like, I don't know what I'm doing. So like if
Hmm.
you guys are like looking to me for leadership on the best practices, I'm not your girl, but I'm gonna work hard. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna ask the right questions. I'm gonna put in the effort. I'm not going to leave anything off the court. Like I'm going to put everything into this. And I
Hmm.
did. And I was very successful in my launch where so many people came and said, you wrote the new playbook. The way you did it was like everyone is watching in the industry, even other people that know me were like, it was an incredible launch. And I'm like, I'm glad because we put a lot of effort into it, a
Hmm.
lot of effort.
Hmm. That's cool. What would be your parting piece of advice for the person who's on the starting line of their book?
Do it. It's such a great process. Like start. Don't overthink it. If you have a book that you want to publish or you have an idea that you want to take to the market, there's never been a better time. And by the way, books are back. People love books. People are buying books. People are enjoying books. Genres of different books are coming out. Like everyone is hungry to learn. We are living longer. We are more adaptable to reading things in formats that aren't on our screens. And I feel like books are having their moment. Take advantage of it and publish your own book today.
That's good. Books are back.
Books are back, baby.
I love that. Well, where can people go to buy your book, to find out more
Amazon,
about you?
please buy my book on Amazon and share with me your feedback. I've gotten so many comments about how much people love this book. It's practical. They put it to work. The stories are fascinating, if I do say so myself. They're really interesting stories that just people are gripped when they read them. You can get it on Amazon or Barnes and Noble or wherever you buy your books, but Amazon's quick and cheap and faster. Secondly, please follow me. I have a LinkedIn newsletter that I put together. First name, last name is Maha Abu Al-Anain, which you guys can see, I'm sure, in the show notes. And I'm obviously on Instagram if you'd like to connect with me as well.
I love it. Buy the book, connect on LinkedIn and Instagram. The book, if you missed it, is called The Seven Rules of
Self-reliance.
Self-Reliance. How to stay low, keep moving, invest in yourself and on your future. She's knocking on the door of 100 reviews on the book on Amazon. So if you've read the book, leave her a review.
Yeah,
I
the
hope you,
reviews are so important. I didn't know that. Reviews
very
are
important,
critical for first-time authors.
very important. I'll send you a copy of my book, Maha.
Yeah,
And
please do. And
there's
I
a
will, well,
chapter on
actually,
getting
I should buy
reviews. And
it. I should buy it because that's what you should do. If someone has a book, don't ask for a free copy, people. Buy their book, support the author. So I'm not going to let you send it to me. I'm going to send me a link and I will purchase it.
I love it. I love it. We'll do. Well, Maha, thank you so much. This is awesome.
Thanks, Chandler. Have a great one.